How do you capture a memory or a moment your character would rather forget? In this third episode of my Aeon Timeline mini-series, I'm focusing on events and backstory, how I use each to build out my novel's timeline and what to do when things go wrong. Spoiler, they go wrong. The first video in this short series, episode 1, has a more detailed description of my aims with the mini-series, so I won't repeat myself other than saying the series forms part of a longer collection of videos in which I show how I am using Aeon Timeline 3 to get to grips with the zero draft of my science fiction novel in progress. If you are new to this series, don't worry, you'll find links in the description to earlier episodes, including the first, which outlines my larger project. There's also a chapter list in the description so you can skip to the parts you find most interesting. Okay, moving on. In any story, unless it is a very experimental story, things have to happen. And when things happen, they are events. So let's create an event. It doesn't matter where you start any event, you will put it in the right place on the timeline when you set the date and time. So I double click in an empty space anywhere on the timeline and an event label appears. This event is when Luce and Phenon met for the first time. Let's call it that. Creating an event also opens an event card, or event inspector, I suppose. Once you've given your event a title, you can correct the dates. So here I am changing the year because this didn't happen in 2500, but in the year before, in 2499. And then we have the month, March, and then we have the day, the 6th. How long did it take? Let's say it was an hour. We don't have to be very specific about time in this case. If I click once on a free space in the timeline, the card closes and the event moves to the correct time and date on the timeline. Let's just center it. Okay, I'm not entirely happy yet. I want to associate this event with some characters. So obviously I need Luce and Phenon, but two people who meet one another sometimes need someone to introduce them. That would be Cameron. So let me add a new character by clicking the Create Character button and typing in Cameron, and there she is. Let's put in a summary for the event. Luce's student friend Cameron introduces her to Phenon for the first time, although she has already seen him around on campus. Now I want to change the color of this event. As I've said before, I've been color coding events by the point of view character who is most involved. And in this case, I want to change the event color to teal to keep it identified with Luce. Because this event, her meeting Phenon for the first time, is something Luce remembers but which won't come into the story in its chronological place, I want to change this from an event into backstory. Now, I don't see backstory as an option when I click on the change button here, although I know it exists as an option in some of the Aeon 3 writing templates, so I'm going to add backstory by clicking Edit Item Types. I'm a bit puzzled how to do this, but here is the settings panel and here is item types. So let me add backstory. I don't think I need to add a plural, do I? Click OK. Now, back to the event card, and there is backstory as an option to choose. When I clicked on it, I got a system warning. The following fields may be deleted when changing this item type. Participant. Would you like to continue? Of course, I continue, and not only did the participants disappear, so did the event from my timeline. But it's still open as a card to the left, marked now as backstory. So I put my participant characters back, not Ben, Phenon, that's right, and Cameron. I click away, click once anywhere on the timeline, and the event inspector card closes, and where is it? Okay, full disclosure. When back in episode 2, chapter 2, I put character properties in the wrong order and I had to change them, that was deliberate. I was demonstrating. But not this time. This time, I was overconfident. And this time I honestly couldn't figure out why I'd lost my event from the timeline. I panicked. I was screen recording this after all, and as you see, my cursor dances wildly across the screen as I try to guess what I ought to do next. I tried changing the position and magnification of the timeline. I looked at the filter options. Eventually I gave up and consulted Aeon Timeline's user forums and the manual, where I found this. The reference to item types reminded me of the switch I have shown you previously for making characters appear and disappear from the timeline. So, back to the timeline we go. I open Show Item Types, and there, now, is a checkbox for Backstory. I put a tick in that box, and to my great relief, the meeting reappears. The lesson we have learned from this is when things seem to go haywire, pause. Open Aeon's manual and the user forums and do a search. Your problem may have a simple solution. Someone else may have faced it before and been answered, or, as here, simply reading the manual may tip you off about what to do. Let's take a deep breath, and as I breathe and recover my cool, it feels like a good moment to remind you that if you are finding this interesting and you have not yet done so, please take a moment to click the subscribe button. Now, I want to add a second event to the first. Again, I click anywhere, write the event title, in this case, Luce and Phenon start a relationship. This event is already in the correct month and year, so my only change is to put the correct date, and let's give this event a duration of a whole day. Click away, one click anywhere in an empty spot on the timeline, and you see the event shifts to the correct place. Because of the magnification I have on the timeline, you can see how it is shown as a line representing a full day. The previous event, the backstory event of Luce meeting Phenon at this magnification, is shown only as a diamond. Let's change the color of the event to teal because, again, it is Luce who will be the principal observer. And let's switch it to be a backstory event and add characters. It's just Luce and Phenon this time. There's no one else involved. In the summary, I write, the two spend the day together, most of the day together, and the following night. At the moment, as you see, the timeline is displaying quite a lot of information for each event drawn from the event cards. There are associated characters, the summary, the dates, and duration, and this is not a problem at the moment because the timeline only has 2 events. But the more events you add, especially if they are close together, the more clogged up the timeline can become. In this chapter, I want to demonstrate how to conceal or to reveal information items in the timeline. So move the cursor down to the left-hand side of the footer, click on Item Display to open the panel with all the items the timeline can display. Some of the checked items we haven't yet added information to, but you can see there is one box at the very top of the list that I have unchecked. Basic information. Why have I chosen to uncheck it? Let's put a tick in the box and see what happens. As far as I can see, the basic information simply repeats the title of the item. I don't see the need for that. So I'll uncheck that box again. The other items we can uncheck to hide are synopsis, date and duration, and characters. As you see, that makes the display much slimmer. So once you've built up your timeline with many events, and if you want to display many items at the same time at a readable level of magnification, the item display is your friend. By the same token, if you want lots of information on the timeline, if you are working out the intricacies of 2 or 3 events in relation to one another, say, the item display allows you to show a considerable amount of appropriate information as necessary. Well, that's it for episode 3 of this short series on using character cards in Aeon Timeline 3. We've covered how to create events, how to turn them into backstory, how to recover from a small Aeon-induced panic attack, and how to simplify your timeline using item display. If you've found this video useful, now would be a good moment to give me a thumbs up. In the next and final episode, I'll show you how to use Aeon's flashback event type and how I built out an entire day's worth of interconnected story events in my novel timeline. You'll find the link to episode 4 somewhere hereabouts. If not, it'll be down in the description. Thanks for watching and cheerio for now.